Okay, guys, well, on Saturday, we got treated to something absolutely amazing. We got treated to the first glimpse at the new Crash Bandicoot for the PS4, the complete remake of the original trilogy of the game. So, seeing as I'm a big fan of Crash Bandicoot, I thought I'd basically just gush over all the stuff I saw in the trailer and the gameplay, which I will show off respectively in here in this video, but while I'm talking. But to explain, for anyone who doesn't know, Crash Bandicoot was a game back in the 90s, well, 90s and early 2000s. I mean, it really had its big debut in the 90s because that's when it was made. That's when the original trilogy was around. But and since then, it's just had good games, some worse than others. But over time, basically, I think its last major game was back in 2008. So it's been 8 years since its last major game. And since they announced they were remaking it from the ground up for the PlayStation 4, and we finally get a glimpse of the amazingness. That's the only way I could describe it. There are many things in this trailer and gameplay that look outstanding comparing to the original gameplay side by side, as they have the footage from Crash Bandicoot 1 playing while while they play the HD remake after it. And you can see everything is just an absolute improvement. Now, I do have some gripes. And of course, not everything can be absolutely perfect, And, I mean, this could be just because, the game's still in development, obviously, Like, for example, there are some parts where you can notice that the textures, they look maybe a little bit too flat in comparison to what you'd normally expect from, a Crash Bandicoot game. There's no little tufts of grass coming out of the textures, and there's a part where there's a boulder, the boulder scene. It shows you the side by side comparison. My only real problem with that is that the fact the boulder looks a bit too flat in comparison to looking more rocky shaped in the original. But to be honest, it's minor gripes compared to the outstanding look of the game overall. I love the art style they're going for in this HD remake, It's not exactly like the original. It's a bit more realistic, but they kept it that nice cartoony feel, so it still feels like a Crash Bandicoot game. And just overall, I mean, having just the game on the PS4 alone, just a re-release is fine, but the fact that they're making a HD remake of it is just amazing. Let me think what else I could talk about possibly here. Oh yeah, of course, gameplay-wise. Obviously, we've only seen the first game so far. We've only seen Crash Bandicoot 1 footage. I'm going to assume that's probably just down to the fact that they only got that part done, at least to a point where they could show it off, Obviously, work from the start of the, trilogy and make your way across it. That makes perfect sense. But from the first game, everything does appear to be functional, From what we can see, the bonus levels are there, and the Tawana icons, and the Embryo icons, and TNT's crates, and there's a hilarious scene where, from the original game, if you remember, where when you collected if you didn't collect enough crates at the end of each level, you'd see Crash getting hit by the crates. But if you notice, in this footage, the more crates you miss, there's Crash actually gets pushed down to the ground more, as if more crates are crumbling on top of him, oh god, so many crates, why'd you have to miss so many crates? But also, another cool feature is that there's actually time trials for the original game, and this wasn't in the original game at all. Time trial was a thing that came in Crash Bandicoot. Was it free? I think it was free. I mean, Crash Bandicoot 3 is the game I played a million times over. But Crash Bandicoot 1 and 2 I've only played a couple times. I played Crash Bandicoot 1 all the way through. Only once. But I played Crash Bandicoot 2 a couple times over. But Crash Bandicoot 3 I must have played a good 50, 60 times over. It's my favorite game of all time. Or at least it's up there. But the time trial is in now, so... And there's also gems in the levels, you'd expect from collecting all the crates and stuff like that. So yeah, that basically means that they're taking the things from the future games, such as Crash Bandicoot 3, and incorporating back into the previous games. Which I guess makes sense, why leave out those features just when they include it in the future games? It gives great replayability for each of the levels, and it'd be great to finally face off against some of the, levels of Crash Bandicoot 1 with new challenges. It also makes me think, because in the original game, there was many levels that were, scrapped and stuff like that. All of the games had scrapped areas, scrapped levels, scrapped warp rooms. And, you know, one of the infamous levels from Crash Bandicoot 1 is, I think it's Slippery Climb, if I remember correctly, is the name of the level. And that was never in the game because it was deemed too difficult. I wonder if they would go ahead and actually put it in this remake as a extra level. That would be pretty cool to face off against that hell gauntlet. Because if anyone who has actually played the Crash Bandicoot 1 prototype knows that Slippery Climb was done to a playable point. But it was really bloody difficult. Also, a small insight into something. When you think about it, the music. I'm not sure who's made the music for this game. Obviously, I don't think the credits for it are available just yet. But I hope it's the original creator of the music back in Crash Bandicoot, the original Crash Bandicoot trilogy and Team Racing. But also, because the reason is because I know the music doesn't sound the same as it does in the final, as it does from the original games. And I was sort of disappointed at that factor, but that could always change. Because for anyone who doesn't know, the original composer of the Crash Bandicoot trilogy and Team Racing has the tracks on his SoundCloud page, but they're pre-console mixes. They're versions of the game's music that was, before it got compressed into the PS1's, limits. And some of the tracks have new instruments and stuff like that you would never be able to hear because it was so, bit crunched into the PS1. That's the thing, and I hope maybe they would use those tracks. But if they don't, if they have a different composer on hand to make the tracks and make them just as good, all the more power to them. But I hope they at least give some look at least, to getting him to do the original, to do the tracks in the new game. Now, next thing to talk about, art. Specifically, animations and look of characters. I've heard some people don't like the way Crash looks because he sort of reminds people of the Skylanders look. Well, obviously the reason they, brought out the Skylanders one first was to give us more of a middle road between the classic and the Skylanders. To sort of say, yeah, this is Crash, it's like it used to be, but we're bringing him into modern age. And I have to appreciate that. I mean, at the end of the day, even though this is Activision, right? This is Activision. They are, at the end of the day, a company, and they have to try and, make sure they sell to all, bases, because, keep in mind, they're making, this new trilogy for, the old fans, but they also have to try and bring in the new fans from, Skylanders to play it. They want to make sure they make as big a profit as they can. But some of the characters, for example, Tawana's model kind of creeps me out. I don't know what it is about her model, but she's sort of just a bit, off. Maybe she was like that in the original game. I don't know. But Neo Cortex and Brio, their animations in the little cutscene we get in the trailer, it's amazing. They look so funny. I know they weren't meant to be funny in the original game because it was a very serious kind of dark tone, but they look ridiculous, and I love the way they look though. I mean, it might just be me because now Crash is more associated with being more cartoony. Because when you think about it, over time, he kind of became more and more cartoony in style, going from a very serious standpoint back to over to a more zany kind of quirky sort of thing, with games like Titans and Mind of a Mutant. And I know those games aren't the best, I mean, especially art style wise, but at least they're trying to move away from it to give a more traditional look anyway. Oh yeah, also I forgot, they showed the Papu Papu boss fight. Another great comparison to show between the old and new. There really is not much difference to tell there because of the fact it's just really just the same, fight from the first game. I mean, from what we can see, they're not changing anything in terms of the gameplay, except maybe adding some new features, which will be time attack and all that. But they're keeping the actual levels and gameplay the same, which is good. One of the worst things that can happen from HD remakes is when they change the game. A HD remake is meant to be a remake of a game, just but with better graphics. Adding new levels into that kind of system with I mean, not new levels, I mean new stuff into the system, but putting it in front of what was already there instead of just letting it be what it was. That's the problem that many HD remakes face, and I hope, from what I can see, I don't think they're going that route, but I hope that they'll stay on that route. I mean, or from Gym HD, for example, you know, that was just exactly what it would give you. All the extra bonus stuff was separated away from the main storyline, but the main storyline was basically exactly the levels you wanted. It was exactly what it was meant to give you. Oh yeah, also, another point about these HD remakes specifically. I know only the PlayStation 1, I mean, Crash Bandicoot 1 is being shown, you know, in this trailer. As I said earlier, obviously, because that's all they must have, like, ready to show off. But I really hope when they get to, like, you know, I'm assuming before we get to, you know, before the game gets released, they'll show off more of the other games. Because I'd really love to see what they've done with, like, Crash Bandicoot 3. And hope that they keep all of the features from Crash Bandicoot 3 and 2 in. Because for people who played Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3, you may know of the secret levels and stuff like that that was hidden really, really well from the original game. Crash Bandicoot 3 had 2 hidden levels, which was just ridiculously hard to find. One was okay-ish to find, and the other one was just ridiculous. What was it, like, dying to, like, the third pterodactyl on the red gem path brings you to the secret level. Yeah, good luck figuring that one out. But on top of that, I was meant to say, God, I can't just, my mouth is just turning to mush because I'm just, like, watching this, thinking to myself, it's so amazing! It's, like, what I've always wanted. I mean, people who know me from making Sonic World, like, at one point, we had the idea of, like, maybe creating a Crash game after Sonic World was fully done. But it seems like our job's done for us. Like, I mean, it was just, like, an idea, like, you know, hey, what if we made a Crash game? And, like, but we don't need to do it. They're doing it for us. And it seems what they're doing, they're making a fantastic job of it. And I really do hope this turns out to be really good. My only problem with it now is that it's only on the PS4. I mean, I know there's a lot of great games that could get, like, PC ports, and I really hope this is one of those games because, well, I don't have a PS4, and I would hate to miss out on playing this game if it was only on PS4, because I'm not going to buy a whole console just for one game. As much as I'd love to, I'm not going to go bother spending that money, you know, spending the money for PS4 just for the single game. But nevertheless, you know, I'm hoping that there will be a PC port, and I'm sure there are many other people who are hoping for that too. And, you know, I'm pretty sure it'll get a PC port. I mean, maybe we'll get lucky and, you know, that will happen, but if it doesn't happen, at the very least if it doesn't happen, at least I know this exists. At least I can watch it be played. And while I'd absolutely love to just play Crash Bandicoot 3 in HD myself, I can always settle for just watching it, if absolutely need be. If there's a reason they can't bring it to the PC, and it must stay on the PS4. You know, actually, one thing I meant to mention earlier about, like, you know, like the gems and all that, is that, you know, there are relics in this game, right? And of course there are gems, but, like, if anyone remembers in the original game, you could in Crash Bandicoot 1, if you had all the gems, you could actually skip the final boss. I wonder if you get another reward for having all the relics, because one thing that's not shown in this you know, gameplay is the overworld of the first game. And I wonder if that's because they haven't got it in yet, or they're not showing it off yet. Because I would really like to see how the relics play into, like, anything. If it's, like, you know, another secret thing you can unlock using the relics. Because I think some, you know, new levels, like, I don't mind having brand new levels added to the game, right? Having brand new levels added to the game is an awesome idea to kind of, like, you know, spread upon what was already great. But, like, you know, to not interrupt the original gameplay, like, perhaps those bonus levels are, like, secret unlockables in which you could, like, you know, try them out. Like, oh, you got 5 relics? Yeah, you got another secret level. Just like in Crash Bandicoot 3, in which when you got 5 relics, you'd be able to go down to the 6th warp room, the secret 6th warp room, and play against that, the 5 levels down there. Let's just hope that at the end of the day, for all my rambling, let's hope that this game turns out to be absolutely amazing and great. And, of course, actually, you know, shows us everything that it's showing us currently. And while we've only got really a couple of pieces of, you know, gameplay here and there, and, you know, the trailer for it, like a reveal trailer, you know, from everything we can see, from it looking great so far, the art style looks amazing, and there are some minor gripes, of course, you know, with some stuff looking quite bland in places, and I know some people have already pointed that out, but, like, it does look quite, some things do look bland, but keep in mind, we're looking at a beta. Or perhaps an alpha. We don't know how. It says it's coming in 2017, so we don't know what time. It could be late 2017, which I would probably expect considering they only announced it a little while ago. Most games like this take quite a while to come out, but I think maybe they might release it, like, I'd say maybe summer or springtime next year, because I think they're trying to, like, really hype it up to get people to buy it, you know, now. But I hope they don't rush it. Like, if they rush this and it turns out poor, many fans will be disappointed. Not just me, but many fans will be disappointed. They gotta be careful what they do. Well, on that note, I guess it's covered most of the stuff we have for now. I might do a follow-up video on this, depending on, like, what if there's more, like, stuff that comes along for, like, you know, more, you know, info on the game. Because, I mean, I am really excited to see where this game goes, you know. I mean, maybe I'll make a thing of this, you know, game trailers that come out from games I like, see what I think of them. Alright, well, there'll be another video up tomorrow. I think that's a Sonic World video, because this will go up on Monday. I'm actually recording this on the Sunday, so I'll be tomorrow I'll put that up. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, but it's been a long one. Me rambling takes forever. Let's hope Crash Bandicoot Remastered or Crash Bandicoot N.SANE ends up being the greatest thing we've ever seen. See you all later.